Welcome, everyone, to Mark Robers monthly class. We're your TAs. I'm Mark, and I've also got with me Ryan and Chris tonight. So, if you have questions, go to that YouTube link and you can watch us do what you're doing now. But if you have questions, down in the video description, you'll see a StreamYard link. That's the link that you want to go to if you want to join us. So, while we're waiting for students to come, Ryan, this is your first time here. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I was just saying, I really appreciate what you guys are doing, going live and speaking with students. I'm an industrial designer, which is basically a product and vehicle designer. I took the product stream, so I get into 3D modeling and a lot of digital design. I took Mark Robers' course because I thought, it's a good way to get hands-on with electrical engineering. And it's important. It's an important thing to know when you're designing products, right? Like when you're getting into 3D and you're thinking about how a product looks, that's important. But it needs to work too, and you need to know have the understanding for that. So I thought, jumping in on Mark Robers' monthly class was a great way to do that and get an understanding of how an Arduino works and how electrical engineering and just the basics work, just to get into it and try it.
So maybe you could tell us a little bit about what an industrial designer does.
So an industrial designer is, like I said, it's basically just a product designer. So what you do is you start with an idea, similar to what you're going to do in this course, right? You're going to come up with an idea, product idea, and I would tend to sketch it out first. So you would go to paper, sketch out your ideas, or as Mark does, you come up with your mind map. You come up with some sort of idea of how you're going to go about making this product. So you come up with your mind map, you do some drawings, and then you start prototyping. Whether that's a physical model or you start doing it on the computer and creating something, it's kind of up to you. I like to do stuff on the computer, but that just depends on what you're trying to design. So once you get there, you would 3D model it, create parts, create things you need, and get it manufactured. So behind me, you might see I've got a 3D printer and a CNC machine. And I would use these things in manufacturing to come up with parts. A 3D printer is a great thing to have if you're designing a product, because you can actually go on, send your 3D print there, whether you're getting it from the Thingiverse. It's a great website to go to get free designs for your 3D printer and print it there, or manufacture yourself. You could create a 3D model and print it. And you can utilize, these parts, whether it's motors or, circuit boards or whatever in your design, you can make it all work together. So, an industrial designer is basically just a product designer, and it kind of works along with what we're doing here in Mark Robers' class.
That is really, really cool. Well, I've got good news for you. We have our first guest.
Awesome.
Yeah, you ready to meet Grant?
Oh, I am, for sure.
All right. So, Grant, welcome to the stream, sir.
Hello.
How are you tonight?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you great.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, Grant, I am going to move things around so that you are the star of the show. There we go.
Look at that.
Right on.
I finally learned how to do that. It took me a couple of weeks. I'm not proud, but
I'm proud of you. That looks great.
So, hey, man, what can we do for you tonight?
Well, I'm actually another one of the TAs. I just came to join in and
oh, cool.
Say hello. Yeah. I didn't know what the sort of protocol and process was for this, but I just wanted to say hello and hang out with you all as well.
Love the shirt, man. Represent NASA and Mark Rober.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely got this from NASA and not at JCPenney or something.
Right on.
Well, hey, yeah, Grant, we haven't met you yet, so nice to meet you. We're all in different
Nice to meet you, too.
Who are you working with?
That's a great question. That's a really great question. Off the top of my head, I am not too sure, which will tell you how much we've talked to each other. But he's in Belgium, so we're on completely different schedules. So usually I go to sleep and then wake up and see that he had commented on a lot of stuff, and then vice versa. But in my peer group, Frank Sirens?
Oh, we met Frank the other night, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Yes, that is who the other TA in my class is.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, nice, man. Well, I thought you were a a student, a participant.
I
in Mark
believe
Rober's
it.
class.
I could look like one. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Always a
it's good thing-
student.
It's a good thing I didn't ask you if your parents were home.
They're not.
Myself.
I live alone.
I did that last week. It's like, asked a gal, because I've got this little monitor behind a camera, so it looks like I'm talking with people. And I asked a gal if her parents were home. She's like, I'm an adult. And I'm like, I'm an idiot. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Grant.
Well, I currently I'm I don't even know what my job title is. I do a lot of creative engineering work. More recently in my life, like literally over the last, I guess, year. Back in February, I got a job at an escape room, just as a part-time job. After I moved here to Los Angeles, and I've taken a lot of electrical courses in college and in high school. Nothing that I've like officially studied. My degree is in acting. The school I went to was a theater school, and while I did a lot of acting stuff, the curriculum was very well rounded in that I learned a lot of like carpentry skills. And so like my whole life I've been like building sets, painting things, just being presented with a lot of problems, and they're like, we need to make this, let's make it together for the show or whatever. But then also I've done like electrical classes for like hooking up lighting systems and programming sound systems and stuff like that. And in high school I did a bunch of like small low voltage circuitry electronics classes. And I also own a 3D printer that I use literally every day. So I have a really weird, interesting background, and I always find that whenever I am up for a job or something, I have to really go out of my way to explain my qualifications to people, because they're like, you have a theater degree, why are you applying for this? But recently, I do a lot of work as a game designer for escape rooms. That one job I got way back in February has led to a multitude of other jobs where now I'm an independent contractor, and I work for too many different escape room locations in Los Angeles, designing elements for their rooms, using Arduinos to design puzzles and interactive elements, mostly taking rooms that already exist and revising elements and puzzles that are boring and tedious or broken, and either fixing them or redesigning them or coming up with something completely new and replacing that section. But I'm about to start doing my first entire installation of a room from nothing, which is scary but fun.
Where in Los Angeles?
I live in like Burbank, North Hollywood area, and the escape rooms I work at are all over the place. Downtown, there's a couple in Hollywood, West Hollywood. There's one in Pasadena. So I do a lot of driving.
I've got, I guess it's 2 words for you.
Yeah.
Apex Electronics.
Oh, yes. I'm looking this up right now.
Oh my gosh. Okay. First of all, you're going to thank me later. Everything except your wallet.
Well, I don't pay for a lot of this stuff, so. That's actually pretty close to where I live. That's just like literally 12 minutes north of where I live.
Go tomorrow. Okay.
I will.
Yeah. You're going to thank me next time you see me. The place is magical. It's Disneyland for guys like us.
I can't wait. That seems super cool. Apex Electronics. Look at that.
Here's my advice to you. Do not tell them that you're spending other people's money, because that's how they make money, right?
Yeah.
Honest to goodness, the guy who you go up to is going to size you up and down.
Yeah.
And that's how he's going to set the price on this stuff. So you're unemployed, student.
I am.
I don't care.
I am a student.
You're a theater guy. You're learning about Arduino, and you just think this stuff is cool.
Yeah.
That's who you are.
Yeah.
Because once he learns that you've got somebody else's credit card, oh, baby, you're paying Hollywood prices.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
That's good to know, though. That's a good tip. I've been looking for I guess apparently not too thoroughly, but I've been looking for just like stores in the area, because sometimes it gets frustrating and boring to order things online all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Despite
Chris,
it having an incredible selection. But
we haven't heard from you much tonight, sir. You ready to come on screen?
Oh, sure. Hey, guys.
Hey, buddy.
Hello.
Sorry, it's been a week. We've got the company I work for, we bring in really big printers, like 3.2 meter to 5 meter fabric printers for textile, and just brought a new one in, which was supposed to be the same as all the other ones, and no, it was completely redesigned that the Italian company forgot to tell us about. So we spent a week like chasing demons. So it's been kind of a crazy few days, but yeah, for Ryan and Grant, kind of my background is a lot like Grant's, as I just kind of stumbled into a lot of different jobs, and I don't really know what my job title is either. I've been with this company for over 17 years, and they don't know how to fire me. They've tried like 9 times, and they just gave up. I just keep coming back. So, but anyway, so I'm kind of everything from, you know, the IT security person to a product designer over there to inventory. I mean, I just do a little bit of everything. So it's kind of a big mismatch of weird job stuff. So, and just for Mark's class, I just decided to take it for something to do, you know, kind of get the creative juices going. And, you know, through the pandemic lockdown period, and it was kind of, I think, kind of lost my motivation to build stuff. So I think I just kind of took Mark's class to see if I can get things moving again.
It's funny how creative positions, you know, align you that way, right? Like, even though I'm an industrial designer, it's led me to a lot of different things. Technically, my title right now is media specialist because they get me doing a lot of different things too. I run their website and I do their photography and I do everything else. So it's funny how, you know, you get into these fields and they might get you to do more than you think you might, right? Like, I've been a CNC programmer and machinist. I've gone into 3D modeling. I've gone into, you know, photography. All these different things lead you that way. It's great.
I think that's the hard thing, though, is like if you ever want to look for new jobs, like, gee, I don't even know what I'm qualified for.
I know, right?
It's like you got like this such a weird hodgepodge mix of skill sets that it's sometimes it's a little difficult actually just to be that broad, and it's hard to, I think, you know, Grant, as you said, it's hard to say, oh yeah, well, this is what I'm good at and this is what I do, because it's just so varied that it's weird. Yeah, it's a strange position to be in.
But if you have the willingness to learn and actually put the effort in, I think you know, employers look at that and they value it a lot. There's machines like you're talking about. We had a spot color machine that we had at one of these places where we had belt buckles and we wanted to just color different areas of the belt buckle using this machine. So I had to try and figure out how to hit those different spots and create, you know, a template where you could lay a bunch of them in it and hit those spots accurately. And I didn't know how to do that, but if you put the effort in and actually do it and try, eventually you'll get there, right? You get there and just put the effort in. You might fail a couple of times, and I did for sure. But you get there, you know, and you will, you know, they look at it in a good way. So for sure.
Yeah, that's a cool story. Do you, Ryan and Grant, do you have anything that you've built that you're particularly proud of nearby?
Yes.
Would you like to start, Grant?
Yeah, I'm going to go get it. It's literally right over here. I'll be literally 5 seconds. Don't
All right, no, let you go first. Mine's right here. Wait, here. I'm backwards. But I mean, it's kind of cool, but I'll show it to you in a second.
So I don't know if this counts because it's not done yet. But this was my build 2 for Mark's class, and it's been sitting in the corner, and it's a thing I revisit all the time to work on. This is what it looks like right now. It won't turn on at the moment, but what I tried to build was, I don't know, you've probably seen them. They're like those clocks that are a clock made up of a bunch of smaller clocks, and they synchronize, move around in unison, and make cool patterns. And some of them, with enough of the clock hands, are able to sort of like link together to spell out like the actual time, like in numbers, not in like clock hands. So I wanted to build something like that, but not functional, that just looked really cool. So this is the front. This is the back. It's kind of a mess right now. Nice. But so I just wanted to. I'd never used stepper motors before with an Arduino. I mean, like, they're on my 3D printer, so I'm familiar with how they work and how they're used. But I had never just like tried to control them myself. So this was my sort of attempt to do that. The hard part with this that I was really proud of was two is I was also trying to get myself into 3D modeling, and I modeled these little gear boxes here that basically take one motor and turn it into the motion of a clock spinning as you would expect it to, where one revolution of the minute hand is like 1 hour on the hour hand, but not have them be independently controlled of one another. And then also just sort of like figuring out how to mess around with the code to make this look cool. And that took a while. I got that to work, and now my power supply is all wrong, and I need to redo how I power this thing, because this is a lot of power, and I did not get a power supply that was good enough for it. But that's it. This is the thing that I had that was close by. Proud of that. Looks cool. One day I'll finish it and I'll hang it on my wall, and it'll be really loud, and all my roommates will love me for it.
I love that. That's really
cool. I feel like you can make some really awesome things for escape rooms. We have a couple. I'm up here in Canada. I'm near Toronto, Canada. Mm-hmm. But we have a couple escape rooms up here that I've done, and they're just fantastic. So I could just imagine the things you could make for that would be really, really cool.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's sort of really cool, especially in Los Angeles. There's people that like to spend a lot of money to build really cool things. So you move away from the sort of like lock and key style jail cell door things, and once you start implementing automation and like magnetically closed doors and boxes and hatches that have compressed lids, so that way they automatically open and release. You could do a lot of really, really cool stuff with really, really simple technology.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cool stuff. Escape rooms are half magnetic switches. Everything's magnets. If you ever want to break an escape room, sneak a magnet in with you. Everybody will hate you. Oh, you can trigger everything with a magnet.
Well, I've got good news. Before we hit Ryan and Chris with the same question of show us something you're proud of, we have what I hope, and it's really small, so I could be wrong. We could have another TA joining us, or we could have our first participant. So let's see who Ethan is.
I'm excited either way.
Ethan, hello. How are you?
Hi.
There you are. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm good, thanks. Is this mic working?
Yeah. It's working, man. Before I embarrass myself, are you a participant or a TA?
I am a participant.
Beautiful, man. What can we do for you?
I just need some help with one of my builds.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the salsa chip conveyor belt thing.
You're in my group, I think, aren't you, Ethan?
Yeah, I'm in your group. Yeah.
Okay, and your problem is that you've got salsa dispensing out the bottom, and it's leaking on you.
Yes, everywhere.
Oh, no. Do you have any pictures you can show us that we can fill in the other TAs?
I can show you the thing itself if you want.
It's
a bit of a mess right now, but it's a prototype. Just ignore the yellow thing. That's currently what I was trying to use, but it's pretty much just a conveyor belt. And this is just one of those soccer pump things. Yeah, so the conveyor belt works perfectly. That doesn't need any fixing, but I tried I'm going to probably using a cam, and so it just pushes it down very slightly at a time. But it just leaks at the moment.
Okay, so before I share my advice, because that'll color the conversation, let's see what some of the other TAs might think. And then you and I can discuss what I shared with you earlier, okay?
So I have a bit of an idea. I mean, I don't know how exactly this mechanism works. I have another person in one of my groups who's having kind of the same issue. They're making a cereal dispensing unit, and they want to have their milk and their cereal come in from a box above. And they also are having a leaking issue. So I think what they're thinking about doing is getting, for them it might be easier because you're using cell, so it's a bit thicker. They wanted to use like a tube with a valve that they can open the valve and let it come out. With salsa, it might be too thick. So my thought might be that you use like a PVC piping. You can get PVC piping at any kind of hardware store, and you can get valve systems for that too. So you could maybe, instead of using the pump you've got there, you could fill it with salsa and then open the valve slowly to release as much as you want, and then turn it back to close it. I don't know if that would help or work
Yeah,
better.
no, that would definitely be a help. The only thing I see here is I did kind of want to make it automated, so I didn't have to open and close it every time. But
so I will tell you. I was just telling these gentlemen, one of the company I work for, we sell really, really big printers, like 3.5 meter to 5 meter textile printers, and they use ink, just like an inkjet type ink. And the way they keep the ink from dripping out of the heads is they actually have it all under vacuum. So the way, and I'm not saying this is necessarily a practical application for you, but just in a bigger scale, the way that they allow that ink to stay in these chambers is to have a negative vacuum in there. So it basically holds the fluid up. And then when they release the vacuum, then everything can come out. That's possibly handle this.
I was thinking about something like that, because like when you suck up liquid in a straw and hold one side of the straw, it doesn't come out. But
exactly right. Yeah, same principle.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking of doing something like that, but then I don't really know how to turn that off and on without using like Arduino or Raspberry Pi or anything more than just mechanical.
I mean, it literally can be just as simple as an on-off switch to an electrical circuit. It doesn't need logic behind it. It could just be a simple on-off.
Yeah, true. Yeah, no, that would work actually. Yeah.
It could potentially even be a servo. Like if you had a servo motor that could seal something, whether it's the top of the tube and it closes and seals something, the servo motor is just going to open and close, right? So depending on where you've got it set up, it might be able to close the suction and open the suction to allow something to drain through a tube. Servo motor is pretty easy to learn if you look it up on YouTube. I'm just not sure how you might get it to seal. You might need some sort of rubber or something to seal up off the top.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting idea for sure.
Yeah.
So and then, who was next?
Oh, I mean, I could offer some feedback / advice.
Sure.
What is the Ethan, the thing that you're using now to dispense the salsa?
Right now, this is like, you know, when you buy like a cheap soccer ball and it gives you like a little pump?
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of those. Yeah.
How do you go about loading the salsa into that right now?
It just pops off.
You pour it in through the top and then you just sort of you push it down?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the problem you're having right now is that it's not super, I guess, precise with its dispensing. It will sort of like leak and not be.
If I don't want it to leak, it won't be able to do it. Not automated, but like it'll have to be pretty kind of rigid, and it'll have to probably use a lot of O-rings and rubber and stuff just to keep all the salsa in, because salsa I'm using is actually quite thin.
Okay, gotcha.
So, it can leak out everywhere, but otherwise I could like seal it up and figure out something, but it's going to be a lot harder. Yeah,
in this current rendition, how are you planning on automating you said some sort of like, I forget what you said, to automate pushing down that plunger to dispense the salsa, is that what you said?
Yeah, so it's like a camshaft. I'll get another motor and just attach a cam to it. It's kind of hard to explain, but the cam will turn around and push it down.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess the little sort of feedback I could give, and again, I don't know if this aligns with what your goals of the build are, but I was at some theme park the other day, and there was this really interesting carousel thing that was filling up with water and dispensing the water out. But it looked really, it was really simple in the way that it automated itself tipping over. And maybe there's a way that instead of loading the salsa into this device that dispenses it, you could use just a jar of salsa and maybe replace the lid with some sort of spout and have some sort of thing that causes the salsa to just sort of tilt out of the jar itself. I don't know if that's as controllable with some sort of automated repeating system like you just mentioned, because as it pours out, the salsa is going to get less and less, which would require the angle that you lift it at to be higher. I don't know if that's incredibly helpful, but that's sort of where my brain went. It's just an alternative if this plunger syringe-like dispenser doesn't end up working out. Maybe there's a way you can sort of retool the salsa jar itself to be the container. And then that way there's less to clean up and it's easier to sort of swap in and out and use more consistently.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that aligns with
that would probably work pretty well, to be honest. Yeah, no, that would definitely help.
And Grant and I are absolutely on the same page. That's the advice I gave Ethan a little earlier this evening. Let me see if I can get on this. Oh, wrong one. Hold on a second, buddy. Too many buttons to press. So instead of trying to keep the salsa from coming out the bottom, which is an engineering challenge, you're right. You're going to have O-rings. You're going to have to draw vacuum or whatever. It's a big pain in the butt. Instead, make the salsa come out the top. So either a big fat syringe that you cut the nozzle off so it's big enough to let salsa come out, and then you push on, because they do have really big syringes, or you make your own out of a piece of PVC pipe. But you push the salsa up and over a lip and let it come down, or you put the syringe inside and you pull the syringe up through the salsa, and then it leaks over the side and comes down a tube. I don't think, especially in one day, you're going to be able to get, I don't think you're going to be able to get a watertight seal in one day. So I don't think you should try. I think you should try maybe one of either Grant's or my idea, and either tip it or drag it along the top, or pull it out and let it come out, or push it out and let it come out. Because then you will have O-rings, but it'll be designed by somebody else if it's a big fat syringe. Or here, you just get it in a container. You get you would cut up a plastic top off of a metal top off of an old food can, and you just yank it up. This could be a string that you pull up, and as it pulls up, it rises through the container and the salsa falls out.
No, that would work as well. I'm just trying to think what's most time efficient now, because I don't have a huge amount of time left.
That's always the big challenge.
So what are you thinking?
Probably time efficiency, the tip thing. I just think it would be harder to control the amount of salsa, and you'd have to be able to make it lift higher when there's less in the jar. So then probably the best would be the pull thing, but then that's more time consuming probably.
How many chips are we talking about?
I don't have a set limit. I did some tests to find out which chips were the best, and also the salsa, and it's just like Doritos, just plain Doritos were the ones I'm going for. And for the salsa, I think it was just Mission salsa.
I don't think I've tried Doritos with salsa, but it sounds really good. I mean, I might give that a go at some point.
Yeah.
I would probably agree. I think maybe some sort of tip mechanism would be a little faster to do. In general, this class is really fast, right? You only have 4 weeks to get these projects moving. So I hear where you're coming from. You could always try to implement some of these ideas later if you like one more than the other. But the tip mechanism might end up being a quicker way of doing it. If you are able to, and if you want to automate it, you could hook up a motor that lifts the end of a can just to lift it as everything goes and pours it as the conveyor is going. So, you might be able to still automate this and get this going. So yeah, being conscious of how much time this might take is definitely an important aspect to this whole thing too.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about right now.
And something else to consider too, Ethan. This isn't something that is going to market tomorrow, right? You need something so you have your project done tomorrow, but you could always continue to work on this well into the future.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a
And-
secret. The
Yeah.
solution's going to come to you in the shower 3 weeks from now when you're not thinking about it.
I agree. That's happened a fair bit. When I've been building, I'll just think of it way after I've finished it. So, yeah.
That's how critical thinking works, man. It's fun when it happens. It's stressful when it doesn't happen in the time frame you want.
Yeah. Okay. And is it the prototype that's due tomorrow, or is it the? Oh no, the prototype was due today, wasn't it? The prototype was.
I don't know that any of us know.
That's a great question. I can look right now because I have the curriculum.
Yeah, the prototype was due today. Prototype was
okay. The prototype was due
is due today. Final build is in 3 days.
Yep.
Okay, so I've got to try and figure something out today, and then I'll be able to refine it in the next 3 days.
Yeah, but you can expand your. Right now, you've got a constrained problem, right? And you might be over constraining yourself with what you're asking for it to do. You could have multiple containers with, think those little Easter egg things, that you hide candy in, and you just flip over one of those. You put salsa in, preload them all with salsa, and you just flip over one on a chip, and the next one on a chip, and the next. So a totally different conveyor belt, one for chips, one for salsa. Think outside the box, buddy. There's a lot of solutions to this problem. It's just some are easier than others, and making something waterproof or watertight that opens when you want and then closes back up, because you're going to have those chunks in there that are going to try to block the seal. That might be more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, okay. Well, thank you for helping me with that. I'll get started after.
All right, buddy. Well, we can't wait to see what you have.
Yeah, thanks. I'll look forward to showing everybody.
All right. We look forward to seeing it. Take care, sir.
Okay.
Thanks, Ethan.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. Good luck.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Where were we?
That's cool. I mean, I hear where Ethan's coming from. I feel like it is a really quick class, right? There's a lot of...
It is, yeah.
It is, right? Like when I was working on things, I'll show you my project now, because this is something I jumped to. Like I started, I think the first part of the last class we did, I tried to create a hovercraft. I wanted it to carry a drink across the table. I thought that would be cool to be able to send a drink.
Oh, yeah.
But it turned out, I haven't had much experience with playing with motors and propellers and different things. So I didn't have something that was powerful enough, not only just to carry the beer, but to actually send the thing across the table. So I struggled with that so much. I still didn't get it done, but I still have it built in the cupboard. And it is something that I might get back to at some point, because now that I have this 3D printer and I have things that I can build stuff with, I feel like it's something that I still want to achieve. But I'll show you this project here. This is another one I did. I don't know how much I can show on camera, but I created this graphic. And as this spins, it's supposed to create like an effect. And I don't think you can see it well here, but at a certain speed on camera, most cameras run at 24 frames per second. If this spins at the right speed, it'll actually create an effect and you'll be able to see it. So this is supposed to be like phases of the moon and then like a galaxy and the sun that are all supposed to spin. And as it goes, you'll be able to see this pattern. So what I wanted to do was create and this is way more complicated than it needs to be because it's literally just a motor. But I wanted to make it so that you can adjust this. See if I can get it here. So it's got an on-off button. There's a forwards and reverse button, and then there's a potentiometer that you can adjust the speed with. So when I turn this on, it'll spin, and I want to get it at a certain speed. So I would try to get the potentiometer to be at the right speed, and then I could leave it there and film it with this camera here. So at 24 frames per second, if I'm filming it, you would literally get that effect with this graphic. And I thought it was just a cool thing to try. It's not something that I've seen too much. It's called a zoetrope. And in fact, with the Arduino kit you get on Amazon, one of the pages actually shows you how to create a zoetrope. And it's a lot different from this, but it's a really, really simple mechanism. And that's where I got the details to create this. Because again, I don't have much experience with, electronic engineering. But with that kind of diagram and how to do it, I was able to put this together and make this work. So I'm proud of this. I mean, it's pretty simple and pretty basic, but it worked out. And I do have a video on YouTube that shows how it does work. So I can link that at some point if you guys want. But yeah, I was pretty happy with how this turned out.
That's pretty cool.
Really
weren't zoetropes the precursors to moving pictures?
Yeah, I believe they were, just because it's a frame, right? Like they're running frames that flash, and that's basically what a movie is, right? If it's running at 24 frames per second, your eye visualizes that as a moving picture. So yeah, zoetropes, I think, were the very basic movies in the beginning.
Didn't they do that with a horse to prove that when a horse galloped, that all 4 feet were off the ground at the same time? And I think that's how they did that, is using that same.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because they could stop it at some point and see that, yeah, their hooves all come together at one point, and then it comes off the ground. Yeah, I've seen that too.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that. Neat idea.
Chris, did you have something handy to share?
Yeah, I think it's kind of embarrassing. I think all of you guys have seen it, because it was one of the sample projects on the application for the job.
I thought I recognized you.
So in fact, it was really funny on that one. All I wrote down for that, my review on that is, I don't know, it's pretty cool. You should hire the guy.
Nice.
Let me see if we can drag it over a little. But it was the moon phase clock that I made.
That's right.
And I'm still working on it. It's still in progress here.
I remember commenting on this thing. I thought this was fantastic, because I'm so really into the phases of the moon and stuff too, kind of similar to what I was doing. That was great.
Yeah, so it's changed a lot since then, because I'm still messing around with it. But I redesigned the base, and I actually have buttons on the back to change to just hit it to like one button, just to show like a full revolution, just to show the animation of it. Mm-hmm. And then another one to kind of help to synchronize the phase. And then, so I've kind of been redesigning the base of it a little bit. And honestly, I'm still messing around with the alarm triggering from the real-time clock that's in there. And I think I might scrap the whole clock idea and actually go into just a dedicated IC, which is the timing IC, which can just trigger an event. And I think that's probably the route I'm going to go with it. And again, I'm still messing around with it, but yeah, it's an ongoing project, but that was a fun one. And yeah, I was pretty happy with the way that one came out. Yeah.
It looks so cool.
How is that timed? Like, you have a specific time for how the phases work, and you had to go around that?
Yeah, so I got to look up what the numbers are, but I calculated I broke it down into 8 distinct phases and just kind of did the math backwards. So it's like roughly every 304 hours or something like that, it'll do one advance of the thing. And then, actually after I submitted the project, I went back and looked at it. I was like, oh God, it was actually going the wrong direction. So I had to go back in and rewrite the code for it to go the right direction. And, like those things that, I think even Mark said once, like, don't point out the errors. So it was like one of those things like, ooh, that's backwards. But yeah, so that's what the alarm is set to. So like every 300-ish hours, it'll trigger one partial step on the servo. Or actually, I put a stepper in there just to do full revolutions. So, yeah, that's the one I think was most proud of out of the.
Yeah, that was a really cool project. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Mark had something to say about that too, didn't he? He commented.
Yeah, he actually commented on that one, which was surprising. Because and then it was weird though, because once he commented, everybody kind of, I guess, looks to see if he comments on everything, and then it blew up from there. All of a sudden, there's like 350 posts on it or something like that. So, it was kind of a surreal thing for me, but yeah, it was fun. But yeah, I think that's like I say, I think that's what I'm most proud of out of the course and of the stuff I've been working on, and I'm still toying around with it. So
yeah,
The perks of having 5 million followers, right?
yeah, I guess, yeah. So yeah,
I am not burdened with such fame.
no.
So I've got something for my other class. So
Ooh.
the other thing I'm doing right now is teaching printed circuit board design.
No, I need to take that class from me.
What's that?
I need to do that class with you.
Take it. It's free.
Okay, I'm in. I've got like 4 or 5. I was like, I need to make a board for this. So I got a couple projects.
Is it really free? Where is it?
Yeah. Oh, here, let me bring it up. I think I've got it on the brand. We're about 4 weeks in. It's difficult, but not impossible to catch up. But I would have to let you in. Teach me PCB.
All right, I'm gonna write that. Are you gonna do another session of it, or is it a one-shot deal?
I'd like it to be an ongoing thing, but I'd like this to be the only one that I teach. And the reason for that is, here, let me put it up in a comment, and then I can put it on screen. The reason for that is I want to do more advanced classes. So this is the introductory course. There it is for you. But ping me in our Slack channel, and I'll let you in, because right now I've got guest access blocked because we are a few weeks in. Mm-hmm. Anyways, the goal is to teach people how to make their first printed circuit board. So really my barrier for entry is just that you can basically do the things that you guys already know how to do, right? You can interpret a schematic. If you can breadboard, we're trying to take you to the next level of going from breadboard to PCB. So this is a brain because our logo.
It's a brain.
It's a brain.
It's a brain.
That's awesome.
And what this does is it takes the Raspberry Pi Pico, this little guy right here, and a bunch of switches and a couple rotary encoders, and it makes this thing called a macro pad. Basically a bunch of keyboard shortcuts that you could use for games or applications. Even if you have no need for a macro pad, right? Nobody's making you buy this board, but it walks you through all the steps that you need. So I write all the course content. I manage the forums. We even started a Discord this year, because we did do this one time before, and the course went, I thought, really well right up until it didn't. We tried to do assembly, like having these things professionally assembled, and it just did not go well. The printed circuit boards jammed the ovens, the reflow ovens, and they got all crunched and cracked, and the parts flew everywhere. And so this year we're assembling at home. So, but yeah, I'm kind of proud of that. It's a lot of work, but it's also a lot of fun. So that's all of the graphics that you're seeing in the software that you're seeing. It's stuff I used for my course over there. I just brought it over for our monthly thing.
Nice.
No, I'm definitely interested in doing that. Like I said, there's like one project I want to, was actually my last project for Mark's class, that it's still cobbled together with 8,000 wires and Arduino hanging here and there, and kludgy soldered together LEDs and just a stupid array of stuff that I think could definitely be cleaned up. So yeah, no, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I've got it all sponsored. Where is our?
Yeah, I see it there. Looks like you got.
I've got plenty of sponsors, so we've got everything paid for. You don't have to buy anything. Advertising is minimal. I just have sponsor logos as images. There's no tracking. So yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's a sweet class. Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep thinking I want to build a drone or something at some point with the 3D printer and everything. And I have all these motors that I've bought now, because I think I have, oh my God, I don't know how many different motors I have trying to create that hovercraft. So I think I have enough to maybe even make a drone.
I've got like 4 totes full of stuff after that class.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You kind of get addicted, right? You start building stuff and you're like, oh, this motor is more powerful. Oh, this thing's better. I'm going to get that. And then they just pile up and they fill up your cupboard over there. So Yeah, the parts just pile up in this course.
Fill up your cupboard.
Wow.
Let me go full screen for a second.
You're covered. Look at that hot glue gun.
What are you looking at?
Oh, the Ryobi
The Ryobi, is that a hot glue gun?
Yeah, I just don't see it from where I'm at. Oh yeah, okay. So
that just looks like a really heavy duty hot glue gun. I love my hot glue gun.
This is the light one, actually.
Oh, I could tell. Is it wireless?
Yeah, it's wireless. So you put the battery in and you charge it up, and then you have a few seconds to work with this. But then they also have. Let me get off full screen here, and I'll grab it. But there's also another one that's I actually like too. So give me a second. I'll grab that.
So while he's doing that, did you guys make any like tool purchases or toy purchases during or after Mark's class?
Yeah, I bought a little mini hacksaw. I bought a PVC pipe cutter, and I bought a bunch of drill bits.
Nice. All right.
Because that was all stuff that I was like, I need this. I need this to build these things.
Yeah.
I think I purchased a bunch of Dremel parts. Like I already have a Dremel that I use sometimes, and I wanted to get more into it, so I think I have a bunch of that. But besides that, I don't know. I've moved on to some other projects and stuff. So
I broke down and got myself a laser cutter. So
nice.
So I've been having a lot of fun with that. But
I'm jealous. What laser cutter did? Yeah, what laser cutter did you get?
I ended up with it was like this whole brain melt thing of trying to figure out which way to go and what features I wanted, and I went down that rabbit hole. And honestly, I ended up going with the Glowforge just because of the special pricing I got and all the other deals that were on top of it. I ended up getting that to be the best bang for the buck, actually, which was weird. But
I've been watching that one for years. I always thought, having a laser cutter would be such a unique thing to have and be so useful. So do you like it?
Yeah, I do. It's definitely it's interesting because I've had 3D printers for quite a few years now, and it's interesting using those two technologies together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I bet.
So you have you make all these these flat planes to mount things to. Then if you need bracketry, you can integrate the 3D printing with that, and you can really build these complex assemblies with those two machines. So it's interesting using them together. I think I've had most fun with that, is trying to make those technologies go. But
what kind of 3D printers do you guys have?
I have an Ender 3 as well.
Okay. Because this is brand new. I used to have an Ultimaker, and it was way more expensive and actually harder to use. So I ended up selling it, and I haven't had a printer for years. So then after I got the CNC machine, this is just a SaneSmart that I got on Amazon too. So both of these are really cheap, cheap designs. Yeah. But I'm impressed. Ender 3 is actually
great.
Pretty good.
A really good printer. Yeah, it is. I have a Prusa.
That's what I would have gotten had I had more money.
Yeah, I tinkered around with the CR10 for a long time, and then somebody wanted to buy it off me. I was like, okay. So that was, almost halfway to getting the Prusa. I was like, I'll just do that. So but I like the Prusa. That's been fun.
I like the orange. I'm a really big fan of the orange and black color. I kind of made mine look like that because I'm manifesting it being a Prusa by making it all orange and black.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've got a 3D printer question. Mine has been clogging lately in the little Teflon tube.
Mm-hmm.
Any idea what's going on there?
What printer do you have?
It's some, I don't know, QIDI.
Gotcha. Now, do you know if it is a direct drive or a Bowden extruder printer? I could have just said total gibberish to you.
Is there like two little gears on top that kind of push through like the white tube into it, or is it just like gears right on top of the hot end?
It's a geared on a stepper that has a gear on it and a little V groove on the other side that pushes it down into the tube.
Okay.
Gotcha. And is that's on the hot end? That's not somewhere else on the printer? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. It could be a couple things. One, you could have a slight jam or deformity in the nozzle itself. There could be some substance that's in there that's jamming it up. Could be sometimes my old CR10, I was having issues with that, and when I cleaned it out and rebuilt it after a big jam, I didn't have everything seated quite right. So where between the hot end and the cold end, actually there was a slight gap in there, and that was actually causing jamming. So when I took it all apart and rebuilt it, I found that I didn't have it all seated correctly. Let's see what else could be. Is it the
what
same?
What is the context of it jamming? Is it like immediately when it starts printing, or do you normally like get a few hours into a print and then all of a sudden it stops extruding?
Yes, a couple hours in.
Gotcha. Is it pretty consistent that that's when it happens?
Yes.
Gotcha. It could be, yeah, I was gonna say it could be that as it sits and heats up, heat could creep up into the heater block and into that PTFE tube where it's feeding the plastic in, because you want it to melt when it's at the nozzle, but you don't want it to melt literally anywhere else. And if it starts to do that and the heat is transferred up over time slowly, it could soften the plastic that's getting fed down, and then that becomes no longer sturdy, and then that could cause it to clog. But normally that doesn't happen, that the printers are designed to prevent that. So it would mean that something else is happening. Maybe the fan that's directed at the hot end of your printer isn't working 100%. That happened on a printer I was working on recently, where the hot end fan was working, but some like dust and like cobwebs and filament strands had gotten stuck in the fan, so it was only able to spin at about half of the normal RPM. So it wasn't cooling the hot end enough. So after about 4 hours, it would just totally break down.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I was having kind of that same issue with my Ultimaker, and it used a thicker filament. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that made a difference, but I know as it tried to push through the extruder, the gears would just kind of grind away at the plastic, and then it wouldn't have anything to push. So eventually it would just stop and it wouldn't print anymore. So I think, like you're saying, Grant, there, like I think sometimes that happens, and I don't know if that's a bigger deal with things like the printers that have the bigger filaments. But that sounds like kind of the problem I had with my Ultimaker too.
Interesting. Okay, I can check that out.
Definitely check your fan. I think Grant's right. I think check your fan. Especially
if it's worked for a while. Yeah, my printer, the fans on the hot end are so dusty just from running for 2-3 years. So that's a part that can just easily get full of gunk and stuff.
Okay.
But if that doesn't work, shoot me a message.
Yeah,
I think I've broken my printer in every way possible and also fixed it in every way possible. So
very cool. So I brought over the
better hot glue gun that has the battery in the bottom.
So these are your two options. One, it's got the battery right on it. It's lightweight as all get out. You put a small battery on, you're good to go. Really handy, runs all day. This one's cheaper. This one's like $20. It's dirt cheap. Yeah. Oh God, yeah. So if you had to get one, I would get this one.
Grant's on Amazon buying it right now.
Literally, hey, just because it's true. Well, just because like I use hot glue all the time for repairing stuff in escape rooms, and also like when you're putting electronics inside something that players are shaking and rattling, you gotta hot glue it. That's the best way to just insulate it and also keep things set. So having one that's wireless, so I can climb up on a ladder and like get up inside of the wall and then glue things, that's invaluable.
Electronics are potted like that all the time to keep them from vibrating apart, especially power electronics, heavy components. You don't want them vibrating over time. Now, here's another recent find I didn't know about till I started teaching the course, and the people told me about it. This is called the Pine, P-I-N-E, Sill soldering iron. It's also the TS100. P-I-N-E-C-I-L. It's $25. Really cool soldering iron for $25. All programmable. You can set the temperature to whatever you want. You can buy different tips for it.
I found it. Smart portable mini soldering iron.
That looks really intuitive. That's cool.
Yeah. You can power it over a high power output USB-C or a 5.5 millimeter, 2.5 millimeter, like a laptop power supply.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
But yeah, it's got a, well, here I can do better camera wise. Or you know something, we can do even better camera wise. So it's got this, this cool little digital interface. You can, what's the power, and you can set, the temperature you want it to go to. When you start using it, you set it down, it realizes you set it down, and it'll go to sleep. Amazing bit of technology for $25.
Yeah. Wow.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So the people in the course have been absolutely swearing by them. And this one's 25. The big brother is floating around here somewhere too. It looks identical to me. It looks like the Pine Cell might be a ripoff or an iteration of the TS100.
Yeah.
And the TS100 is like $60. It's way more. So anyways, now you know.
That's super cool.
I do know.
That's my other, and I have got other tools I can show you guys too if you want to see them, if you're into tools.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
okay.
I mean, I wish I had that soldering iron when I did the course, because I had this one from, I swear it was the 50s or something. It's this old thing, and I worried about it. Like even the mount is just this steel plate that you just put it in. I worried about it falling on the floor and hitting my leg or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I got one. Let me grab my one.
I'm not showing you my soldering iron. It's embarrassing.
Well, while you're grabbing it, I'll show you another cool tool. These are called VAM pliers.
Oh.
Now,
VAM pliers. Oh, I love the name.
They come in different sizes, but the cool thing is the tip. They actually have serrated teeth in the tip. So if you need to grab a nut or a screw by the tip, you absolutely can.
That's cool.
So they're not flat, they're rounded. So that's a cool tool. And then it's Chris's turn to share, but I promise you I have more.
In my office, I hope so.
A whole tab list of all these tools. Christmas is coming up.
Yeah.
I'll give you refer links. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
All right. So I got this one off Amazon. I think it was like $20 or something like that. But it is a miniature heat gun, and it comes with this little deflector on there for doing heat shrink. So if you're trying to get down in somewhere, you hit this thing, and it's got the little deflector cone on there, and it just wraps the entire heat shrink and just pop it really quick when you're trying to do solder joints somewhere it's hard to get it to, or if you don't want it to have a lighter. But it's got a little kickstand on there. It's just the coolest little deal. I think it was, I'm gonna find it. I think it was like $20. You find it on Amazon. One of those Amazon specials I found one day.
You guys have
That's
some cool
incredible.
tools. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I like that one. That was a good one.
I do so much. Half of the stuff I do when I go to fix an escape room, I end up using those little, like, have you seen those like solder sealed heat shrink tubing that have like the solder
those
in
are
them?
super cool.
Oh yeah.
They're super nice when when the electronics are already in the wall and you just have to like swap out a power supply or something. So I use so many of those, and a heat gun are like my main two tools. But my heat gun is so big. It's just a regular size heat gun, but sometimes it's really hard to get it and to get it in small places. I really like that small heat gun.
Did you want to share something, Ryan, or do you want me to go? Or
you can go ahead. I don't have anything right in front of me.
All my tools are in my car, in my toolbox, because I work in the morning.
Okay, so one of the things that you always have trouble with is holding things and adjusting things where you need them. So I found these photography clamps, and it's really just an ingenious bit of engineering. I'm going to unscrew one right now. Probably would have been faster if I just grabbed one out of the drawer. So they articulate.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They spin around here, but one knob locks absolutely everything in place at the same time. So, you've got multiple degrees of freedom, right? You twist that knob, tighten it up, everything is locked in all at once.
So would you utilize this for your projects? Like, could you utilize it for something other than photography?
I use it absolutely for other things than photography. Let me in fact, show you. Sometimes when I'm soldering connectors and ends on things, it gets really hard to hold them, right? So I've come up with all sorts of different clamps and other such things so I can hold it, a connector right where I need it to be. So I've got those. They've got, any 1/4-20 clamp will work.
Those are awesome.
Yeah. So
just to hold things in place, that's wicked.
Yeah. So they're magic arms. So if you're soldering and you've got wires to hold and whatnot, I've got all sorts of different 3D things that I printed that can go on the end and hold wires or hold parts or connectors or cable ends, because it's just no fun chasing things around your workbench when you're trying to solder them.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, you're up.
Well, I had my thing.
That was your thing.
I'm trying to think of it. Yeah, that was my, I think that was
okay.
The coolest thing I found recently was that.
Well, then I will continue to show off things. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no, keep going with it. Good.
Sorry, Chester. Okay. Now, we've got a little tool holder that I made that is a piece of aluminum channel that's just drilled straight through. You can do that on the drill press. And it can hold all the tools that a young boy needs, right? So some of the cool ones, are these little things called Alligator Forceps.
Yep.
Rawr.
Yeah, those are good.
Nice.
So if you need to go grab something that's small and tiny and often some faraway place, you can do that. There's also duckbill pliers for similar purposes. If you're grabbing a hold of stuff that you don't need. There are these cool little machinist clamps. They're cant clamps, K-A-N-T. I don't know if you guys can see those.
Yeah.
If I should, it would be better if I went big. Make it the Mark show for a minute. Oh, you know what we could do? We could do this. Give me a second. There we go. So the cant clamps are good for holding things when you're working on them or soldering or welding or whatever it is that you're going to do. That's a fun one. You've seen nippers. You've seen screwdrivers before. Nothing too exciting there. Mostly I wanted to show the tool holder on that one. Oh. But I bet you I can come up with some more stuff.
I got one.
Sure. What do you got?
Back to the 3D printing thing. Are you guys using Octoprint?
I've heard all about it, but I haven't used it yet.
So Octoprint is based off of Raspberry Pi, and you dedicate it to, you can actually run multiple printers with it, but I have just one for my Prusa. And you set it up, it's its own operating system, and it basically will allow you to essentially be hands-free off of your printer. So it'll go into the USB port of your printer, and you can set all the parameters of your printer up inside of Octoprint, and you can send files from your desktop up to the print server. Essentially, you can turn on your temperatures, you can monitor your temperatures. It's all open source. A lot of people make different plugins for it. You can do your bed leveling through it. You can make file sorts in there. So if you have files to print, you can make different folder sections for it. You can run a webcam off of it. So if you're trying to, even at work, you can do Octoprint anywhere, which is a thing. But you can see I've got a print going right now, and I can monitor it wherever I'm at.
That's awesome.
So if there's a problem with the print, I can kill a print from the office, whatever. There's different add-ons or apps you can get that people have written, where if you're making an entire platter full of parts and one part's failing, you can actually go in and just highlight that part, and it'll cut that part out of the G code and just work around it, so you don't have to scrap your entire print.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yep. Octoprint is amazing. Everybody's got an extra Raspberry Pi floating around. Use one for Octoprint. That is by far one of the best things.
Good tip. I'm gonna look into that for sure. That's amazing. So do you keep your computer connected to your 3D printer all the time?
No. So it's just right over behind me there. Okay. Pardon me for the shake, but so that's the printer, and then there's my laser cutter. But you can see over on the side there is where I have the Octoprint set up. So basically, it's just on my network, so I can just drop things to the network.
That's wonderful.
You can do a hardwire in or Wi-Fi, and you can just send right to it.
That's amazing. That is cool.
And then there's a plugin for it, so you can control an enclosure. So right now I have it set up to have the lights on when it's printing, but you can also control the lights with it. It's all driven through Octoprint.
Wow, I love that enclosure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. Like that's the main worry for me, right? Like to turn on your printer and just take off and just hope, you come home and things are correct. Like it'd be nice to even just be able to watch that from your phone, your camera, whatever, or your computer, whatever you're watching from. That's amazing. I'm gonna look at it.
So that is, there's all kinds of different ways out there to do that, but Octoprint is the way to go.
Wow.
All open source. It's all through GitHub. It's just so cool. In fact, the woman who originally wrote this and is still doing this thing, she won GitHub Contributor of the Year for this project this year. It's really just an amazing piece of software. But
very cool.
Yeah, that's a game changer for 3D printing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I will share one other thing for you that you guys might like. A friend of mine makes this website called Walkwe. His name is Yuri Shaked. He is Israeli. He's actually going to be on with me tomorrow at 11 Pacific at my company channel. But absolutely brilliant guy. He created this Arduino and Raspberry Pi emulator software from scratch by himself, and he's going to come on and he's going to code live the code to make my brain work. That
is cool.
Yeah,
I'm playing with this right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at my other monitor here. I'm like, ooh,
that's pretty fancy.
So if you have some time around 11 Pacific, let me pull up my brand channel here real quick, and I'll share that with you, and then we'll say our goodbyes and maybe call this stream a night with our one visitor.
Yeah.
Did you guys advertise this to your classes?
Yeah.
I did not yet, but I will for the next one. Now that I know what it is and I could sell it, I know how it works. I'll definitely for Friday, right? Is the next one.
Yeah. Get shareable link. There, I got it. Okay, let me now share it with you over in StreamYard.
I didn't want to duplicate it because I know I'm in Chris's group there, so I saw your message.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of my messages? I go about. There's so many different people in the group, so I try to get through as many as I can. But
I'm in the same place, and if I can kind of log into you and kind of see what you've done, so we're just not doubling up. And then if I go see somebody else scroll down, if I don't see you have commented, I'll comment. But it's just not a good system.
No,
it kind of isn't. I mean, I've been going through and I try my best to read what they're saying and leave them useful links and things that they can use. But sometimes I'm not even sure I'm reading into it properly. There are some out there projects that I think, I don't know how to explain to people that you should probably pull back, right? And I know you guys had the conversation about knives and sharp objects with automation. And I've been trying to say that too, because some of them I've seen, it's like, you might want to step back from the project. I think, it's a great idea, but, I saw one recently. and maybe I won't say what it is, but I just figured, you should look at it in a certain way and just say maybe this isn't gonna be the best thing for
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just tell them. I mean,
yeah, and I did. I left a message on the one today, and I just said to them, I liked the idea they went for in the beginning, and they ended up, I think, pulling in the cutting actuation later. And I thought, maybe, leave that to last, or after the class. Like, focus on your main idea, which was just, chopping not chopping, sorry. It was just turning kind of a cutting board kind of thing. And I thought, that could be a useful idea. But, stay away from a lot of the cutting actuation, because to cut something can be difficult for a motor, I think, in general.
And if you get it to work, it can be really unforgiving.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you can make the motor strong enough to do what the design intent is, it'll cut a lot more than what the design is for.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I don't know how to politically say that, but yeah.
well, no, if it'll cut a potato or a carrot, it'll cut your finger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or the cutting board, or the plate, or whatever it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, great idea. And I think that could be totally a product if it was, manufactured in a way that, they have those steps in place. But when you're learning, step back and look at it in a way where, this is just a course where you're going to be progressing and learning and trying to get to know these technologies. And I think, as good of an idea as it is, you might just have to think about it in a different way.
It surprised me how many initial projects included some sort of cutting mechanism or some sort of, implement to cut through things. I think that I really was kind of taken aback about how many projects started out that way.
Yeah.
Well, think
we
about
like to
it.
cut our food as humans.
It's food.
We like to cut our food a lot.
I mean, it makes sense, but
yeah,
I don't know.
You cut it and you heat it, right? Those
Yeah.
are the two danger zones.
And you eat it.
Yeah.
Food safety is something that's just right out the window in this one, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
And the other thing that I always, I haven't posted anything on it, but I keep thinking, okay, you're going to use it once. How are you going to clean it? How are you going to keep it sterile? How are you going to?
That's true.
I mean,
I can answer that for you. They're not.
yeah. Well, yeah, clearly, right? So,
Yeah.
But it's.
But that's outside.
I struggle with is I don't want to discourage anyone's creative ideas on making something. At the same time, okay, not only we talked about the physical safety issues of things, but food safety is something, right? How do you use it once, but are you going to really want to use it again? I don't know. It's kind of a weird one for me. Struggling with that one a bit.
Well, knives, I just feel like knives are not, you can hurt yourself with this kind of stuff. So just be careful. Like I've, even with a drone, I didn't build the drone or anything, but it was a drone I was using and fell out of the sky and I tried to grab it.
Yeah.
Not a good idea. When there's a spinning motor with something on it, don't grab it.
Right.
So, it just, safety for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A falling knife has no handle.
Yes. That's a great. I've
never heard that line before.
I haven't heard it, but I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you can open any window once. Yeah.
So, well, guys, I think we should probably kill it. Any final thoughts?
No, thanks again, Mark, for hosting this and putting it together.
Thanks, Mark. Hey, it was great meeting you, Chris, Ryan, and Mark.
Yeah, all of you guys, for sure. I wish we could you speak to a few more students, maybe next time. But
I'll do a good job at. I'll make sure that I can sleep at night with how much I have promoted this, so that if people don't show up, it's at least not my fault.
And who's going to Apex Electronics first thing in the morning?
I'm gonna go after work tomorrow afternoon.
You're gonna love it.
I can't really catch the flight. It'd be too far for me.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, and if not tomorrow, I'll go on one of my days off.
Yeah. Apex is a surplus
Yeah.
that caters to Hollywood. So their main business is selling to prop makers and
Gotcha.
that other such thing. So they've got, if you want a 1950s control room for a nuclear reactor, right? They've got the parts to make that. They've got racks of old switches and servers and things.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then it's just surplus everything, surplus wire, surplus switches,
Yeah.
I think I saw Adam Savage talk about that place once.
Oh, yeah.
One of his things untested.
Yeah, it's I don't want to say infamous, it's famous. It's
famous.
If you're in Hollywood, if you're in the movie industry at all, you're going to know about it. And if you are nearby in Burbank, you should know about it. But understand, they make up the prices on the spot. So you're poor.
Okay. I'm going in as a fresh off the press hobby student.
Yeah, and you're paying
definitely not spending other people's money to build immersive attractions in downtown.
In pennies and pocket lint.
Yeah, barely.
Oh,
whatever I can
I got from Apex. I wonder if it's visible. It is. Okay. I want to show this off before we go, just to give you an idea of the kind of stuff you can get. This will be my parting thought. Any other parting thoughts, Ryan?
No, I looking forward to seeing what you're going to show us, and just happy to meet you guys for sure.
I wonder what it is. I hope it's a
flux capacitor.
Yeah, I don't even know what I can hope. I hope it just looks really cool.
It's going to take half a second more.
All right. Well, I'm counting.
They used to have a store like that downtown Toronto, and I think it's closed now. But it was great. They had this man like hanging off the building, made out of all these different components and parts and stuff. It was really cool. And you'd go in there, and it was surplus store, same thing.
Yeah.
You can go in there and find anything you wanted, anything. It was awesome.
Okay.
Like that in Boulder too, and it was same type of thing. It was all just cardboard bins of just weird stuff, and it was never the same thing twice. And it was
if you're a maker, those are the best places to go into.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right, I'm going to go big for this one.
All right,
$50 at Apex.
What is that? A camera?
What?
It's a lens.
Oh my god!
An old lens?
Yeah,
for like a big cinema camera.
Yeah.
Is it like for like one of those big broadcast cameras from like that?
It is.
Roll around.
No, it is exactly that.
That is amazing. I love that.
I'm assuming you haven't got it to work, have you?
I have no intention of getting it to work.
It's just the lens, though, right?
No, this is. I've got a web series on Friday called Mark Voids a Warranty, where I just go and I fix things.
Amazing.
That's a great name for it.
I like it. Yeah.
Voids a warranty. I do
fixing,
that often as well.
My fixing thing involves a lot of different hammers.
Well, I don't have that weird security screw bit, but I do have a crowbar.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, it's been a lot of fun.
You have a great night.
We're doing it again Friday, same time. If you want to come back.
I'll be out. I won't be able to do Friday. My girlfriend's actually finally back in town for first time since like July, so I can hang out with her this weekend. And
good.
But I'm sure I'll see you guys next week.
Will do.
All right, guys.
I'll try to make the Friday too.
Good night, guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, see ya. Bye.